Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to week one here at Lethbridge Park Public School. We're already 5 days into the new term, and so I guess that means we're 10% of the way through. So it is a 10-week term, and as always at Lethbridge Park School, the kids rocked up on Tuesday, happy as Larry, ready to go, and very, very positive, and that really is what we expect from our students and what we see every day. One thing I'm really pleased with at the moment is the level of independence that we've got from our students. And so even though it's not our desirable plan to have everyone dropped off at the gates, that is a situation that we're finding ourselves in. However, the kids have really risen to the challenge, and they take themselves down the gate, they say a nice g'day to us and wave to mum and dad, and off they go, and the day continues, which is just fantastic. That really remains the biggest restriction at the moment, and that is the non-essential visitor. So I know there's been a lot of talk in the media about potential hotspots and closures of services and stuff like that, but that actually isn't the conversation that we're having as a department. We would expect that we'll be here every day, that the school term will run much as it started, and that really is the same model that we finished up at the end of term 2. So we can do some decent long-term planning and to make sure that we've got some continuity of learning, because there was some times early last term when we really were planning just a week about, but we've moved away from that now, and we're planning ahead for quite a long time. The big restriction, as I said, is around those visitors, and the thing that we've seen that is quite different with that is when a visitor comes to school, and there's not many of them, but when the occasional visitor comes to school, they need to fill a form in, and the form is only valid for 24 hours. The form sets out not just the requirements of how we're going to operate the school. So in other words, we can't shake hands, for instance. We need to make sure we're washing our hands, that we're not getting too close to each other or crowding each other. But it also records the names, email addresses, phone numbers, etc. of whoever's on site. So should the Department of Health require any contact tracing in the future, they can easily access those records from school and we'll know exactly who is here on any given day. So for that reason, it's still much better for us if we can have any communication come into school via email or phone. The officers here, they can take those messages and pass them on to the appropriate person. That helps us enormously. It is going to make enrolment for next year a little bit complicated, I suppose, and we are very keen to start that process because the planning for 2021 is well underway. So if you do have a child who is going to big school next year or going to be coming to our preschool, probably the easiest thing to do would be to download an enrolment form from the website, and from there you can send that back into school along with the appropriate documentation, which is the vaccination forms, birth certificate, proof of address, and we can process it. If downloading and printing is going to make life a bit difficult for you, just give the office a call. We can send one home easily in a child's bag, and I generally have a bit of a stash at the front gate, and I hand them to parents on the street if that helps as well. So let us know what suits, but it would certainly help us a lot with planning for 2021. Now, the good news is, as part of our planning for the term ahead, PWSA starts up again next Friday, and that impacts about 100 students in the years 3 through 6. It is in a different format, and the reason for that is it was very hard to commit to a whole series of events and to be able to move all around different schools and different venues, and also make sure that we were complying with the non-essential visitor rules. The long and short is we have about 4 gala days. They'll go all day, but parents can't attend, unfortunately. So what we will do, we'll take loads of photos, we'll bring back the stories of our success, and we'll get those photos published on the internet for you so you can see them. If you view anything on our website and you feel that your child's missing, so for instance, if your kid came home with a bronze or a silver badge at the end of last term, just in that last week, and then on the last day of school when you viewed the video, they weren't there, what it means is that our school data reflects the fact that we don't have your permission to publish. And there are 3 sorts of categories. On the form, it can say, yes, no problems at all, you have permission to publish my child, in which case they would be included in any of our videos. The other 2 categories could be that no, please don't publish, in which case they won't be included, or it may be that that actual answer was left blank on the enrolment form, which means that we don't have permission and the child will be left out as well. So if you think that's possibly one of your kids falls into that category, a letter to the office would solve that one, and we can make sure our data is up to date. And the same as before, having the accurate telephone numbers on the system are really important. And particularly at the moment, we're doing a lot of our communication via telephone, because I'm conscious that one of the school's strong points has always been that link we have with our community. And we normally do that in the yard before and after school. And at the moment, I'm having a lot of great conversations with the community out in the street, but normally those conversations would be had with the teachers instead. So an accurate phone call will help. You would have had phone calls from your students or your child's teacher during the week this week to talk about student reports. If you haven't had a phone call this week, it likely means that your phone number is not correct on our system. Maybe you've got a new SIM card or something. So if you let the office know the updated details, we will correct those. But when the teachers are calling, they want to have a bit of a talk about academic progress over semester one. And normally you'd end up with a report which would have all of the subjects lined up, A to E for everything, and a whole lot of information about activities that the kids have participated in. But it just wasn't possible to provide that sort of feedback this term. Not only did the remote learning phase interrupt things, but we really felt it was difficult to give an accurate assessment of the students' capacity across all of those KLAs. So as a system, Education New South Wales has made this decision. So what you've received is a report which gives some feedback about what the kids can and can't do in English and math, and then a general comment. And our idea is that we will call you and have a bit of a conversation to flesh out the details. We would normally have had a parent-teacher interview session planned, but obviously that's not able to go ahead, so this is probably the next best thing. But if the phone hasn't rung by about next Wednesday or so, it could be worth checking with the office to make sure we do have your correct details, because it would sound to me like possibly that's going to be a problem there for us. The other thing we're really working on very carefully this term is planning for our excursions. So we really weren't able to do any quality planning up until now. We've been told we can start planning for overnight excursions, and that really involves our Year 5 and 6 kids. What we were supposed to do in 2020 was take Year 5s in term 2, take Year 6s in term 4, so they'd have separate camps. We've not been able to do that, obviously, but we have been able to secure enough buses and overnight accommodation to put all of Stage 3 together, and they will go together on a camp in term 4 to Bathurst. So we're just waiting to see if everything stabilises throughout the state, but our expectation is that that's what we will be doing. And we'll be planning day trips for our other students in the way we have in the other years gone by. Some of our kids have already been on educational excursion much earlier in the year, but for those that have not had that opportunity yet, that is on our planning cycle, and we'll be working towards that. We don't expect any changes to our traditional approach towards the gold and platinum excursion that we would do right down near the end of the year. We are still holding a Year 6 farewell. It will still be on the date that's published, which I think is the last or the second last night of term in term 4. However, when we step outside school, suddenly the kids don't quite have to comply with school rules. They've got to comply with social distancing rules that may apply to the general public. So we're not sure what that night will look like. Of course, advice could change a million times between now and December, but we are committed to doing something for our kids, and we still have the booking for the venue, etc. So that's our priority at the moment. The other thing I'd like everyone just to have a bit of a think about are those online learning platforms that we were really pushing so hard when the kids were at home with you and we were here at school. So for the students in Years 4 through 6, there's not a lot new in this. They've been doing their OneNote activities for some period of time here at school, and that is still happening today, which means at home, if you'd like to know what's happening at school or what your kids have been doing, you could ask them to log in via any device that's internet enabled, and they could have a bit of a look over their lessons, show you the feedback from the teachers, etc. For our younger students, so I'm talking about the students who are in kindergarten, Year 1, Year 2, Year 3, as well as those in our support classes, the platform that the teachers have been using, Seesaw, and the details for Seesaw logins were distributed during term 2. So they should be at home, but they are going out again probably next week. So if you've lost them, don't worry that they'll be coming back home again. Seesaw allows the teachers to put the work for the kids onto this online platform. The students can then get hold of a device, and we have plenty of devices. We bought quite a few this year, as you may imagine. The students can access their very own learning. There can be videos, links to websites, all sorts of things in there. They can complete that, and then the teachers can go and do the marking and feedback individually. It also means that parents can see it, which I think is just fantastic. But there's also the communication opportunity through Seesaw, so you can go backwards and forwards with the teacher and have a bit of an insight to what happens here at school. It's really engaging, and this is good stuff for our kids. And you turn these things on, the kids are in the zone, they want to learn. And if you gave them the option probably of staying inside at lunch and doing their Seesaw activities, which you and I know are actual schoolwork, the kids think of as play, they'd probably stay inside. So it really is engaging at that level, and we'd like to have all of our parents involved. Miss Binning is planning on working with the teachers in K2 during next week to put together a video of what it actually looks like from a kid's point of view, and we'll publish it on our website next week. I guess that's probably the big update from us. Not a lot else is new at school. We are pleased that we've got the longer term planning. The advice from all of us is the same as always: is if you have children who are sick, it is best that they're at home. But other than a sickness, we would like everybody here. Today we have 87 kids away, and so we have struggled to spring back in terms of attendance from the remote learning. And we all know it's very hard to teach a kid if they're not here at school. It doesn't matter how great the teacher is. So we can work on the attendance. That would be just fantastic for us, because at the moment we probably have about twice as many kids away as we would expect in a regular term. The support unit renovation here is plodding along quite nicely. I was in there yesterday, and the floor's been cut, ready for the pipes to go through and all sorts of stuff, and the builders are running around doing a fantastic job. So life is still sort of chugging along here at school quite nicely, and we are hoping for a really good, consistent, solid term. Kids here every day, and that's definitely our priority. But from us here at school, thank you for the term so far. I know we're only 5 days in, and we've still got another 9 weeks ahead of us. We have got a rain report for the weekend, so while it might be wet, nonetheless, I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend, and I'd expect that I have another update for everyone near the end of next week. So for everyone here, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.